Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today we unveil the ultimate ironclad Minnesota Vikings free agency budget.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. I'm inspired by the Combine. I think I might go pick a fight in a Starbucks.
Hey, this is Arif Hassan. I'm at the Combine. I've picked 8 fights at 6 Starbucks.
Glad I hammered the over on that. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman unveiling a new position group for Prospect of the Day. Stick around for that.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hassan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talks Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Hello and welcome to our Thursday edition of the Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Glad you're with us today, whether you're watching live or on audio. Find us on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Lots to get into. Arif Hassan is in Indy. We're talking Combine and the Combine comments from KOC and Kwesi. Plus, we unveil our individual free agency plans for the Minnesota Vikings with free agency around the corner. There's a Kirk Cousins injury kerfuffle. Ron Johnson joins. We got Prospect of the Day, jam-packed hour of Vikings talk. And again, we do this every Monday and Thursday with this group, our Care 11 crew on Wednesdays. Lots of content for you here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Arif Hassan going to the Starbucks. He's shaking things up. He's stirring the pot in Indianapolis. I said this on Monday, and I just want you to pay it off. I want one lukewarm scoop that you've unveiled in your multiple nights. If it's related to the Jordan Schultz Rappaport thing, I mean, feel free to give us all the dirt, all the tea.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I have anything to add aside from confirming that it definitely happened, and it definitely happened in the way that, of all people, Florio outlined. So
in
Jordan,
a very strangely
Feed to the story
article.
by PFT commenter, by the way, which was in Florio's article.
Yeah, at PFT
Phenomenal
commenter,
that he had to.
broke the story. He had to credit PFT commenter, and then he actually kept up with the bit, which I thought was great. But no, Jordan Schultz insisted he did not use any profanity. Multiple witnesses insist that he did. Ian Rappaport did call NFL security. Yeah. So it happened. That was the talk of the thing. We all, had a pretty good conversation about it 8 million times at 2 different bars. That's just how it goes. There were conversations about, at 11:30 p.m., right? They all break the news that Abdul Carter has a stress reaction. So everybody gets quiet in both bars at the exact same time, which is kind of a cool effect, honestly. And then everyone Googles what stress reaction means, which was kind of fun too, as we all figured out our different search results. And then in the morning, we just get news that, he probably doesn't need surgery, but maybe he takes surgery anyway. Who's to say? So I don't know. The Combine is just like that.
Arif Hassan has the voice of a man who just spent the night at multiple bars with loud music and a large crowd. That is the voice. I've heard that voice many a time.
Yeah, I've been out till 4:30 every night, and I'm not built for that.
What's bar close in Indy? Oh my goodness! Do they?
Where's the after parties?
No,
who's hosting these after parties?
One thing you have to know about the Combine is that bar close is an illusion. That's not how. And look, the place that everyone meets, Prime 47, officially closes at 11 p.m. I was there until 4:30. They were serving drinks all the way up until 4. It just doesn't work like that.
The city inspectors just turn the other way during combine week.
Yeah.
There's no rules.
Yeah, I was
Anything
talking
goes.
to a valet about the amount of business that they get during Prime versus any other week, because Indy is a convention city, right? And so like I expected like people coming in all the time that, you know, because like traffic does not increase in Indy as a result of this. The combine is a relatively small event compared to other events that they hold in this convention center, sometimes at the same time as the combine. So it's not a huge deal from a global city perspective, but some places are combine places like Prime 47. So I was talking to the valet and he's like, yeah, we make 6 months of revenue in 1 week during the combine.
Incredible.
And then the rest is just like a normal restaurant that gets mild traffic. Like they could sustain themselves without the combine just as a normal restaurant. But one day Jerry Jones decided that's where I'm going to be. And he's been there for like 20 odd years or whatever. And so that's where everybody goes and they make an insane amount of money that week. And that's it. Like the guy told me he just picks up additional shifts just so he can be there. Like, yeah, he makes more money, but he's like, this rules. I want to hang out here. Like he takes one shift, goes home, takes a shower. He lives a block away, comes back, takes another shift.
Indy's cornered the market on sporting events. This is like the thing they do best in their city. We've got free agency plans to unveil. Vikings have $63 million per over the cap. So I'm giving you $63 million to spend however you want. We've done all the previews, position by position. We've identified who the top guys are, who the value guys are. Now you have to put it to paper. So we're just going to start with Luke Inman, and I want you to spend the money. I want you to spend it if you are Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Give us your plan.
All right, 63 mil. I think getting 1 or 2 secondary players back that's where I'm starting. It's just an absolute must. You got to have some bodies back there, like we've talked about. And I don't want to feel pigeonholed going into the draft. So I'm bringing back Byron Murphy. I think that makes sense, even if it cost maybe a couple extra mil than what we thought it might before the salary cap got raised. Are we supposed to give our own projections on this, or how do you want to do this?
I just use the PFF projections.
Mm-hmm.
Your call.
Okay. Well, I don't have the PFF projections up, so if somebody wants to look up what
Yeah,
Byron
I mean,
Murphy, I'm assuming
Murphy-
2021, something like that.
Byron
No, way
Murphy is
less.
projected at 17.
Oh, I'll take that.
And that's the
Dang.
highest corner on PFF's list.
Yeah,
Really?
I
What's
signed another corner that was like 14. I was like, no way.
Okay, so Byron Murphy, 17. Let's bring back Shaq Griffin on a cheapish deal. I'm assuming that's what, 3-4-ish at the most, something like that.
Yeah, four last year. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little raise. With
Okay, I'm at 21. I'll even bring back
those kind of
Fabian.
one-year deals. I usually just kind of copy paste them and say, let's do that again.
Yeah,
If you
okay,
want
so
more,
I'm at-
or you get less or whatever. Like it's probably not going to be huge.
Yeah, okay, so I'm at 21, we'll call it. And even Fabian Monroe I'll bring back for pennies on the dollar. That can't be much. Call it 22. Jonathan Bullard, 3-4 mil, I'm assuming, maybe 5. I'll take that all day, somewhere in that range. Maybe
he's not
somebody can
projected,
confirm
but
either way.
I brought him back at 3.5 on a 2-year deal. So
3.5. So let's call it 25. I'm at Aaron Jones. I'd still like to go draft a guy on day 3. We'll touch on that a little bit later. I'm guessing that's about 7, 8, maybe 9.
It's pretty high. I actually didn't look.
7 last year. I would
7
wasn't
last
it?
year. So
I would say 7 to 8 is fair.
okay, so 32 I'm at. I'm still thinking
7.
at the end of this, if I need to cut like Ed Ingram and Asamoah, maybe that helps cancel out some of the, like a Bullard, something like that, I can do that. But I think DJ Reed's going to be my big splash. DJ Reed. What's DJ Reed going for on PFF?
14.25 or something like that.
Oh, my God. I'll take
Seems
that
low.
all days.
It does
Yeah,
seem
that
low. I
seems
think it's a
very
lie,
low.
and I took advantage of the lie.
Let's just
Did
call
we all
it
sign
15.
DJ Reed? Is that what we all did?
I think we all did. Yeah.
Yep.
I did,
Cool.
I did not.
DJ Reed it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sam didn't.
I did not.
Oh,
Okay, so DJ
Sam's not a
Reed,
believer.
so I'm
Not a
at,
believer.
what am I, after Aaron Jones, 31, call it 15 for DJ Reed, so 46 with DJ Reed, but that just gives you 2 legitimate starting cornerbacks you feel good about. I got a couple of veterans behind them. I don't feel pigeonholed going in the draft. Plus, I still got, Mekhi Blackman coming back, Dwight McGlothern and all that, so there's a couple of young guys in that room, too. I just don't want to feel pigeonholed at pick 24 that I got to take a corner. So I think, 46? Is that what I said? Now you got money to go get like a second-tier guard, Tevin Jenkins. I have Will Fries written down as well, but let's start with Tevin Jenkins. What's he going for approximately? Anybody know, top of their head, PFF-wise?
He's at 13.3 on a 3-year.
Okay.
For PFF.
13, so that brings it up 46-59. Again, I got to go second tier if I'm bringing back DJ Reed and Byron Murphy. The Trey Smiths, that's kind of out the door. But I feel good about my splash with DJ Reed, one big re-signing with Byron Murphy, and that leaves me a couple mil left for, again, depth stuff, draft picks, all that. So I'm at 59, and I feel pretty good about filling most of the biggest needs and going into the draft kind of BPA mentality. Safety, we'll see what happens at safety. Hopefully Harrison Smith comes back.
That's in God's
hands. We're not going to worry about that. I mean, Josh Metellus, you want to play some free? What are we doing? But yeah, that's where I'm at. I like DJ Reed and Byron Murphy a lot. Those are my two big splashes.
I think you can make that money go further too. I mean, we're talking, we're backloading long-term deals, and we're void yearing.
Yeah. So
I will say,
I was able to use.
I void yeared.
I used a ton of void years. I almost min salaried the first year of every deal. Had the signing bonus take care of me. Vikings are going to pay for it in 2028. Who cares? I might be dead, so it's fine.
Yeah,
exactly, dude.
Let's be honest. We're not going to have American businesses past like 2030. Send that debt.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to have an economy. Send the debt out.
2032 is going to get back on track and hit
we don't need an asteroid, baby.
So to your guys' point, there's a lot more money to play with there that you can manipulate. Also, I will say, though, on the other hand, DJ Reed at 14 seems cheap. So maybe there's a couple of these guys that ends up going for a little bit more. But at the end of the day, yeah, you're right. Maybe extend Josh Metellus or CJ Ham or Joshua. There's so many ways to manipulate and get more money, like you guys are calling out. So I'm at 59 with Theo Jackson starting next year. But like you guys said, probably a lot of different ways to manipulate and maybe give you a chance at Bynum coming back. But if not, go get a different safety, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. I'll run through my plan. And as I mentioned, a lot of void years, a lot of front-loaded deals. Here's how I'm starting, though. I'm smoothing out the Brian O'Neill deal.
Yeah, I did that
save
too.
like $10 million.
Huge.
I'm adding a couple years on O'Neill. He's got like a $26 million cap hit. That's not going to stand. That's going to get knocked down. I'm converting $10 million of TJ Hawkinson's base salary to signing bonus. We're saving $7.5 million right there. We're cutting Bradbury, and we're at about $21 million saved right there. Then we're going to bring back Bynum and Murphy. Bynum 4 years, 56. Murphy 4 years, 80, which maybe that's high. And we're only going to count $10 million against the cap in year one. Then we're going to go get my guy with, apparently he has some kind of chronic health issue now. We're overlooking that. He's going to come at a bad value. Asante Samuel Jr., 3 years, $45 million, only $10 million against the cap right there, using round numbers. Defensive tackle, we're not going to do a massive splash. We're going to do a medium splash for a veteran, BJ Hill, 2 years, $20 million. And just like the Van Ginkel deal of the same year in value, only $4 million is going to be counted against the cap in year one. Then we're going to go get a right guard, Mekhi Becton, 4 years, $40 million, $6 million against the cap in year one. Ryan Kelly's going to come in and be your center. Veteran, 1 year deal. That's all he needs. Prove a deal off injury, $10 million, only $7 million against the cap. You've got your center. Then you bring back Daniel Jones at the vet minimum. Shaq Griffin, bring back at $5 million. I like that, Luke Inman. Only 2.5 is going to count against the cap, though, because you're going to void year it. Then you've got Bullard at 2.5, Powell at 2, Ward at 2, Akers at 1.5, Theo Jackson, Ryan Wright. Cornelius Lucas is your swing tackle at $2 million. Aaron Jones, $8 million. Only half of that's going toward the cap, though. And I think you're set at safety. You're set at wide receiver at that point. And all of that comes out to like $56 million spent. You did a lot of work. You still have some money left over. That's my plan.
Oh,
I like it.
I think I went harder than you, Sam.
Let's put you last then, because I don't think I went probably as hard as you did, but I went a little bit harder than Sam, I think.
It sounded like you went harder, but yeah, go ahead.
Don't worry about it. It's like, so I didn't need to restructure Brian O'Neill or cut Garrett Bradbury, but I did because it felt good. So I restructured Brian O'Neill. I got $10 million. I cut Garrett at $2 million. Only did that because I am guaranteed to sign the guys I want. I don't know. I don't think the Vikings should do that, but it was easy for me because I was able to sign Drew Dahlman. So let's go over it. Resign Byron Murphy, $17 million. Resign Cameron Bynum, $14 million. Resign Aaron Jones, $7 million. Resign Daniel Jones, $5 million. Resign Johnny Munt, $4 million. Obviously, Bullard, Theo Jackson, Brandon Powell, Fabian Moreau, David Questenberry, Ryan Wright. I looked at the market for their averages. I bumped it up a little bit because I was like, I'm going to be cheating by adding all these void years, right? So I got to buy some of that back by giving everybody more of a raise than they deserve, just to make it a little bit more fair. So I did all that. We're still in a great spot. So I want to make sure that the safety room is as versatile as possible. So I added Talanoa Hufanga, right? So that's $12.5 million 2 year. Obviously, we all mentioned DJ Reed, added him, signed Drew Dolman at center because I cut Garrett Bradbury, signed Tevin Jenkins at guard. I think we got to figure out the other guard position in the draft. That's fine. I still have $12 million left in cap space. And then I started on depth, and then I gave up because it was pointless. But
yeah, whatever.
The two guys that I signed on depth were Jaron Reed and Tierra Tart because I just figured I want guys that are good at both run stopping and pass rushing. Jaron Reed has a little bit more pass rush upside. I want to be able to rotate a lot of these guys in. I want slight upgrades over Jerry Tillery is basically my thought process there. And so those are the guys that I think will rotate in. They're a little bit more than camp bodies. Then we'll add a ton of camp bodies, especially at cornerback, right? Because you've got Blackman now, you've got Murphy now, you've got DJ Reed now. I think we need a lot more depth there than we have. So Fabian Moreau, I think, is the only cornerback I re-signed. So there's got to be a lot of guys that you're going to put in there in the 90-man. But, like, I thought there were 4 swings in here. Hufanga, Reed, Dolman, and Jenkins. I think Vikings fans would be super happy with that. So
I'd be jacked. Yeah, I'd be pumped for sure.
So you got 4 swings. Inman, tell me your big swings just so I can take note.
It was DJ Reed. It was one big splash with DJ Reed, and it was one big re-signing with Byron Murphy. Now, granted, I went into this thinking Byron. I heard like 20-ish, which I called out. I was like, maybe it's an extra couple mil than what I thought.
Yeah,
I had no idea
trust
DJ Reed was going to be that
to like
cheap.
know better than me, but yeah, that feels like weird.
Yeah,
and DJ
well,
he's
Reed
pretty
at
good
14 was
DJ,
shocking.
well, I understand DJ Reed's on his 3rd contract, but that was weird.
Yeah.
But so I had to go for him for 14.
Yeah.
Drew Dolman was also 14. Tevin Jenkins was 13. Hufanga was 12.
Dude,
I was like, I have to.
Yeah, I like
to.
that a lot.
So,
and I also didn't
was
manipulate the cap quite as much as you guys either. Just knowing that I probably could have went and got somebody like Hufanga and filled out that safety position. So I'm not going with Theo Jackson into training camp, stuff like that. But yeah, those were my 2 big splashes. Aaron Jones, a lot of re-signings in there as well. Aaron Jones.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Luke Braun, anchor leg, big finale. Let's go.
So the thing that we've failed to capture is that in 2026, the Vikings have 107 million cap space projected. And in terms of departing guys, in terms of departing free agents, maybe the most important guy is Ed Ingram. Ivan Pace is a restricted free agent. And then it's like Ingram or CJ Ham. Like those are your 2 departing names. Nobody's leaving. They have no needs and a ton of money. So I'm going to use it all now. Why wait?
What about AVG, Van Ginkel? That's a pretty big guy.
He's not showing up on the list because of void years. True.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Dallas Turner takes over. We're not worried about it. So I went hard on backloading contracts using a lot of the 2026 space right now. At the end of this, I will have 12 mil left in 2025 space and 25 mil left in 2026 space. Here are the guys that I got. I re-signed Byron Murphy. I re-signed Cam Bynum to contracts with the specs on the PFF free agency page. Those are the specs on all of it. So whatever they say, I think it's like 3 for 52 on Byron Murphy and 3 for 42.75 on Cam Bynum. I went over detailed contract breakdowns actually on a Locked On Vikings episode last week on that. So I just used what I did there. Also in the secondary, I too got DJ Reed. He costs $8 million in 2025 because I did some backloading, but again to the same contract spec, so he gets all the money he wants. He'll be happy. And I also went and got Mike Hilton. He's 31, but I think he's a great Flores fit. He's 3 years, 11 mil per. The other swing, I guess you could say, I'm trading for Jonathan Allen. He wants out of the Commanders. They're moving on. They're going for Jerjon Newton, and I'm going to add another year to his deal. He's got. And I went crazy on the void years with him, so he only cost 6.6 against the cap. Ooh. I brought back some depth, and then like Arif, I kind of gave up on it. So I was like, oh yeah, Johnny Munt, Cam Akers. And then I was like, you know what? This is too many buttons to click. Whatever, we'll do depth. It's fine. I got 12 mil left. That's for whoever you want. As for guard, I'm bringing in Kevin Zeitler. I just like the value there. I still think he's old, but I still think he's got enough in the tank. I'm good with that. And you know, at the very least, if he's so old that he's worse than Ed Ingram, we still got Ed Ingram in the building. So and I'm not going to panic about that if that's the case. I So the thing with Harrison Smith, if you sign him to a 1-year, $7.5 million deal like PFF projects, because of the void years on his deal, that's almost cap neutral. So I just clicked the button. And if he retires, it doesn't change my plan very much at all, because I'm also bringing back Theo Jackson, who's a restricted free agent. Original round tender for him is $3 million. And if he needs to pepper in sometimes a little bit, I'm okay with that. But also, I got 3 really quality corners. I got Byron Murphy, DJ Reed, and Mike Hilton. So I don't know if we're going to go to 3 safety as much in the first place anyways. I also brought back Aaron Jones. And I wanted to make sure that I had a good a guy who's been through a little bit of stuff to help JJ McCarthy come along. So why not bring back Daniel Jones on a $10 million deal? We'll just give him the Sam Darnold deal, kind of 1-for-1. If you don't like Daniel Jones, you want to give that $10 million to someone else, be my guest, but you can earmark $10 million for
question on that. And Arif was paying him $5 million, I think. Do they have to pay him anything? Well, why do they have to pay?
Well, I'm paying him
New York?
$2 million.
Isn't New York covering this money though? Isn't this a vet minimum situation?
Could be. Yeah.
I think it is.
If so, then I'll take Hufanga. Cool.
Perfect.
Still have 12 mil left over, and not really have a lot to do in 2026. Only 25 mil in 26, but not a lot of stuff to do. So you can kind of just chill, have a quiet free agency.
Also,
maybe Justin Jefferson wants more money. You want more money?
Yeah.
Here you go, dude.
Yeah. Addison extension probably on the docket there, but that's not gonna be your expense in the year you do it.
Also, point of order. Taylor mentions this in the chat. Spielberger doesn't work for PFF anymore. He's with an agency, so Grand Central Sports Management. Talked to him a bunch last night. I think PFF's numbers are over the cap now. I don't think it's Spielberger who's doing the numbers.
They've been in conjunction with over the cap. I thought Spielberger was still consulting on that, though.
No, I'm pretty sure he's only a contract consultant for the agency.
Oh, well, that explains why these numbers look weird. Okay.
Let me get to a couple comments. In Theo Jackson we trust. I wanted to ask about Jackson. So the original round tender on Jackson and Ryan Wright feels high. $3.5 million feels high. Can you just let him?
It's percentage of cap, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So as the cap goes up, that number's gonna go up.
It's based off of the rookie contract.
No, but I'm saying, wouldn't it make more sense to let non-tender him and renegotiate? Is there going to be a market for Theo Jackson where you'd have to pay him $3.5 million?
I feel like there low-key might be. He's got some highlights out there. But sure, yeah, if you want to pay him, 1.5 instead, sure. It doesn't change a ton of the big picture for me. So
I paid him $2 million over 3 years. I guaranteed none of it because it's like, hey, you're better than vet minimum. That's cool. It was the approach there.
I do think Theo Jackson might be either how Flores just knew with Josh Metellus and Ivan Pace. He went into May. He knew what he was going to do with them. Mm-hmm. He knew that Pace was going to be a starter. He knew that Metellus was going to be this Swiss Army knife. I kind of feel like Theo Jackson's going to be the guy under the radar who Flores just knows is going to be the starting safety if they lose one of them. So if you pay him, I guess, $3.5 million as your starting safety, that is pretty good value. James asked, would it make sense to extend O'Neal? Absolutely. I mentioned that. Add 2 years.
Yeah, I did an O'Neal restructure too. I did $8 million of it to make that work. But yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Johnny Munt in this economy. I think Arif mentioned $4 million for Munt. That I think you can get him for half that. That was a generous raise.
But whatever.
That was a generous
but
raise.
Yes, Johnny Munt in this economy. Deal with it.
No, like I said, I gave everybody a raise to make sure I couldn't cheat the cap too much. Just so I didn't look like I was I had a grocery list of free agents.
Hey, everyone, you got to get back to number one in the NFLPA survey. You got to give raises to everybody,
Yeah.
That's right. How you get the favor back. Can Arif confirm he ran into legend Chris Thomason at the Combine?
Chris Thomason ran into me. It ruled.
Yes.
Sat down to podcast with Collar. And CT just showed up. He's like, hey, it's like we were setting up, right? And he's like, hey, what's going on? And then we talked about nothing for a while, the visit to the Spam Museum and stuff like that. It was great. He was like, I'm following your careers. And we're like, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's cool.
That's really is he a subscriber to Wide Left?
No idea.
What sweatshirt was he rocking?
Oh, it was a nothing sweatshirt. It was a solid. I was surprised. I was like, no, like Mongolia sweatshirt.
Yeah, right. He's usually he's usually
Where's the Azerbaijan gear?
The Sydney Olympics.
Yeah, the Sydney Olympics. He might have been wearing the Sydney Olympics hat. Now that I think about it, but the sweatshirt was normal. Yeah,
dynamite. Tyler Fornes. The Daniel Jones contract is not a league.
Yeah, that makes sense.
25. It wasn't 24. So that
so
presumably
they paid
that's
he'll want
like
24
backup money or yeah. So if you're bringing him in to like compete to start, you probably have to give him something.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings are, which is why I stuck with 5. But again, I gave everybody raises. I've got enough.
Yeah,
they're bringing him in to lose that competition, but he's gonna be told that he's in it.
Yeah.
So I gave him the
That's
Darnold
cute.
deal.
That's nice.
Yeah, sure, bud. But you gotta
get out there.
Yeah.
Forno is in Playa del. Why are you watching us in Playa del Carmen, Forno?
Because he's got a disease. Like I've been DMing him and he's telling me about these prospects that he's watching film on, and he's on vacation. Like he gave me a picture of like the Japanese restaurant that he's at, which by the way, go to Mexico, go to a Japanese restaurant. I don't know what Forno's up to, but I was like, dude, just eat
something
dinner.
doesn't add up here.
Yeah.
Forno's doing crimes.
Yeah, that's probably it. Just like eat dinner and have fun in Mexico. Stop watching. Get out of these group chats. We're like, this is not healthy.
I've seen pictures of beaches. There's at least that.
Yeah, but he's at
be
a beach watching
swim up
film.
bar, Forno, or I'm going to be mad. Bad dad joke. Asante Samuel has Trey Wayne's trajectory written all over him. Don't say that about my guy. His dad would never let
Trey
that
Waynes
happen.
Trey Waynes was fine.
Like a decent corner for a while, and then injuries derail it. That's kind of sounds like
yeah,
exactly
but the
what's
problem
happening,
is
though.
we're getting Asante Samuel on a second contract. How'd Trey Wayne's doing a second contract?
He did not want to play football on.
That's correct.
Yeah.
He was so done.
All right. Very quick pause. We'll come back and we'll react to the KOC Kwesi pressers. That's next. Arif's in Indy. KOC spoke on Tuesday along with Kwesi right after. About 30 combined minutes of audio. Talked about this on the Care 11 show yesterday.
And not a moment of substance.
The main thing that was said was what wasn't said was no one said they wanted Sam Darnold back. I mean, my impression of KOC on Monday, I thought I actually hit a lot of key points. There was dialogue.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
options are open. It was all non-answers.
Glowing reflection.
We don't want to say anything
about 2024. They loved 2024. They absolutely adored 2024. They want to make a scrapbook about 2024. They want a big picture, a big selfie with Sam Darnold and KOC. He's going to put it on his wall. He's going to cherish it forever. Screw 2025. JJ McCarthy's healthy. That's what I got out of it. I mean, that was my ears were tuning in to like the subtext of what was being said. Luke Inman, I felt like it was pretty clear there weren't any overtures being made to Sam Darnold for next year.
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I mean, hey, I'm sure. I still think at the end of the day, like, here's a team-friendly deal we're going to offer you, fully knowing that there's going to be way better. There's going to be Baker Mayfield type deals out there. So if you want to take it, team-friendly deal, that's fine. But the future is still all about JJ. They're clearly, I mean, reading between the lines, they're clearly pumped. They're hyped about JJ McCarthy. They still think he's every bit the guy they thought he was when they used that top 11 pick on him last year. And if Darnold doesn't come back and it's JJ and the Daniel Jones experiment like we just talked about, I mean, my early estimation, just again, kind of reading in between the lines here, not a lot of substance, but the little bit I did gather, if I'm a betting man, I would assume it's JJ's job to lose if it's JJ versus Daniel Jones, and he is your week one starter, come September, whatever that is. So, yeah, that's the vibe I got. Again, tough. You got to read between the lines. I did like how they called out and kind of recognize the importance of trench play as well. I'm sure some fans appreciated just hearing that, and you got to have the right makeup come January to win a couple games and go deep in the playoffs. I think it was KOC, not Kwesi, but KOC he didn't necessarily say that means replacing guys per se, right? More so, we need more physicality that holds up through 17 games and beyond, some more tenacity. I still think they go get one new interior guy at least. That's replacing a Dalton Reisner or Ed Ingram, however you want to look at it. Maybe it's at center with Bradbury. I don't know. But personally, I think Brandle's back. I think that was his first year starting. They know that he's on a cheap deal. He was a lot better when Darisaw was healthy. But I'm just glad they talked about and kind of called out, so to speak, those trenches as well. But yeah, tough. Not a lot of substance in there. Definitely got to read in between the lines just for even just a little bit of substance in there. But those were the two big takeaways, I think.
Yeah. Anything else hit your ear, Bron?
Yeah, it was a lot of non-answers. I'm with you. Like, they didn't say, like, we love Sam Darnold. We want to see if we can get it done, but we're not sure. Like, that was the way they talked about Kirk. And with Sam Darnold, it's like, yeah, what a great year that was.
Yeah.
What about next year? No. Yeah, last year was great. Like, they just only wanted to talk about last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of seems like that's not... I mean, but like, both Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell still kind of said... We're discussing our options and we're still in those conversations and like, very non-committal. But I think the real answer didn't come on you can't go on the podium and be like, hey, we want to try to tag and trade him. What's everybody going to do? But you can tell Ian Rappaport that and tell him to go on NFL Network and say, well, that option's open and what a great spot they're in, and see if you get a phone call. I think that's the information gathering that they're doing right now. But I still kind of suspect that the answers that they get are not going to be satisfying and they're just going to let him walk.
Mm-hmm.
Kwesi also talked about just the deep running back class too. I mean, somebody called out like Saquon and Derrick Henry, and rightfully so. He was like, "Well, those."
About, like, going and
he
getting
picked
a
out
big
like
free
two
agent,
Hall of Famer dudes, but he did talk about kind of like it's a big market in the draft coming up. He also though noted what I thought was kind of interesting, like the prerequisite of having an elite run game. You got to have guys that can block for them though too. So kind of circled all the way back to improving the interior line as well. So I thought that was interesting. Again, getting better at blocking up front definitely seems like it's a priority. It's a top priority for them outside the Sam Darnold situation.
So future retrospect mentions tag and trade is happening. So here's what could come out of Indy. If they come out of Indy knowing that there's a sizable market, like 3 teams, Steelers, Giants, and Raiders, who all are willing to pay high dollar. At that point, armed with that knowledge, does that make tag and trade more realistic? Because then the team can just they can get Darnold services if they give the Vikings what they need. Does that actually help the Vikings' cause in a possible tag and trade? Arif, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. The issue is, I mean, I guess like nothing happens because the trade wipes it away, so it's like basically neutral. But the issue is, it felt like it was unlikely after they didn't extend the void year deadline or anything like that. But actually, there's nothing preventing them from doing a tag and trade. I just think that most likely teams would rather take their chances in free agency than give up assets to get basically first priority on the Sam Darnold free agency chart. Like I think that the Vikings would like that, but I don't think teams are so committed that they're going to do that. Plus, I mean, they know that the Vikings are probably in line for a 2026 third round pick, right, from the compensatory process. And so any trade is going to have to be the future third, I think. And is someone going to do that?
Yeah.
Think of it from the perspective of another team that would be negotiating with the Vikings, right? Your options are just totally hang up on the Vikings and let them hit free agency. And so they won't, and you'll be having these conversations before the Vikings decide to tag, even though I don't think you're really supposed to, but whatever. So your options are either let the Vikings let him walk and say, we're not going to do this with you. We'll just negotiate with Sam Darnold in March, or do this tag and trade thing and get exclusive negotiation, right? If you get exclusive negotiation, Sam Darnold has the leverage of already having $41 million guaranteed, already on the deal. And by the way, he can go cross his arms and go harumph and just play on that. And then suddenly you just paid $41 million for 1 year of Sam Darnold, didn't get what you wanted at all, and you paid a draft pick for it. So he is leveraging you against getting kind of caught with that bag in your hand. And so is that even a better negotiating environment than in true free agency where you're competing against other teams? Arguably, it's probably a little bit better, but what draft pick is that Like you're basically paying to have that negotiating environment instead of the free agency negotiating environment. What is that worth to you? It's not worth a fourth. It's not worth a next year third. Maybe it's worth, a conditional day 3 or something like that. But that's what you're paying. You're not paying a sixth rounder and that's all Sam Darnold's worth. You're just paying for a different negotiating environment. What's that worth to you? I think it's marginal. And that's why I don't think they're going to get an answer that they love, but it makes sense for them to put the feeler out. Who knows? Maybe someone's an idiot and they're going to be like, yeah, we'll pay you a first for the tag and trade. It's like, okay, like might as well see.
Yeah. Like if you get a call from the Dallas Mavericks and you're like, oh yeah, okay. That's sure.
Yeah. I don't know how this will work, but
yeah, we'll take Luka. I don't care. That's fine.
Shams is going to have a weird tweet later, but
yeah.
Well, not anymore. Not Luka anymore.
After laying out how far your money can go this offseason, what would your disappointment level be? Scale of 1 to 10. Your disappointment level if we get a report, Sam Darnold signs for 3 years, team friendly, $110 million, like $35 million a year, $36 million a year, whatever that is. What would your disappointment level be? Quick around the horn, Luke, Inman.
I'd say about a 7 at this point. I've just mentally prepared myself now for moving on, life after Darnold, ready for the JJ show, get all this money to play with. So about a 7, I'd say.
So disappointment level in if they just re-sign Darnold.
Yeah, if they bring back Darnold, they make that long.
If they chew up 35 to 40 mil on Sam Darnold.
I like 4. I don't know. I had fun. Who cares? A disappointment level of 4.
So you're
still
not
probably
that disappointed.
No, why would I be disappointed? They extend a guy that played well. Oh no.
Well, because then you're missing out on your Hufungas,
Oh, I don't get Kevin Jenkins. Oh no.
You're
missing out.
They're still going to get guys. Like they have to.
Like,
it'll just be cheaper guys.
Like there's a difference between disappointment and I think this is the most optimal outcome, right? Like I think optimally they shouldn't sign Sam Darnold. So that's why my disappointment's not at a 1, right? But like at the same time, they made a determination that JJ McCarthy isn't ready, and so that's worth something to me, right? So that's why my disappointment level would be at a 4. It's like it seems like that's probably worth it, not having that, capability from the rookie cap perspective to sign somebody like a Hufunga or a Jenkins or whatever. Like it's cool to get all the shiny objects that you want in free agency, but we don't think of Sam Darnold as a shiny object in free agency, but we're at a point where you have to, right? And so you got to look at your free agency list, add Sam Darnold to it, and think if you like that haul coming in. So there are obviously issues with Sam Darnold. He didn't play well against these teams at the end of the season, right? But it was a good season. He's coachable. He's a pretty good quarterback. I'm not that disappointed. It seems like it's like the Vikings are making a decision based on the information they have on JJ McCarthy. I don't have that information, so I'm not that disappointed.
Yeah, the disappointing thing to me would have nothing to do with free. They would have to get, like, they need corners. They must get someone. It might not now be the name that you're most excited about, but it'll be someone, and they'll figure it out. So I still think they would be plenty active in free agency if they did that. You're not losing out on all the shiny objects. The disappointing thing to me would be if they sign a 3-year Sam Darnold deal, and assuming that the structure is such that he's supposed to play all of those 3 years, and there's not like dummy years or like fake money on it. That means that they have, without him taking a snap and with him mostly being injured for a year, based just on a preseason that they said they were really excited about, determined JJ McCarthy to be a failure, and they're not interested in him being the quarterback on his rookie deal. That would be very disappointing to me. That's the highest drafted quarterback ever in Vikings history, and they're giving up on him after one training camp. That would be extraordinarily disappointing to me, and they probably are going to try to like sell him for a Josh Rosen package and like get some mid-round pick, and it's like, oh my God, this sucks. Yeah, they're going to get like a slightly less good corner than you think, but that is what would really like make my gut drop if they did this.
The implications are more disappointing than the signing itself.
Yeah,
in that context, yeah.
I'm with Braun, and that's why I'd be closer to Luke Inman's 7 on the disappointment scale.
Let's say like a 6 or a 7. Like that would really suck. But then at the same time, it's like, well, at least they solved it, and we have a quarterback we feel okay about.
They got ahead of the problem. They were wise enough not to hold too much onto their priors. I mean, like that. Obviously, the result that we think McCarthy isn't good is disappointing, but like the process, right? It suggests that the front office is handling itself well.
Yeah.
In that context,
I guess we're spending 3 years rooting for rain every game. Wet Sam, let's go.
Yeah, I don't think it would be an admission that J.J. McCarthy is a failure. I think it would just be an admission that
3-year deal,
that young quarterbacks are unpredictable.
No, it's like Jordan Love. Don't worry
and
about
we think we have more certainty.
Cool. 4 years and you can be the 7th seed. Everybody will be really happy with that. Let's see what KQRS has to say.
Wow, shade at KQRS. Where did that come from? Tom
Because
Bernard.
they are like the ones.
Wow.
Look, I grew up listening to KQRS complaining about the Vikings being like good, not great since like the Mike Tice era. Okay, they're just they're synonymous with that for me.
That's everyone's authority for sports.
92 KQ.
For like cranky Minnesotan sports talk. Yeah.
Ron Johnson's here. We're going to get to him after this pause. We'll talk about the combine, some free agency stuff with Ron next. First, we are brought to you today by FanDuel. The NBA is back in action after the All-Star break. NHL headed down the stretch. College basketball headed toward conference tournaments and March Madness. This is a great sports time of year. You can get into the action at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You can live bet. Yes, you can live bet during the first quarter or the first period of a hockey game or the first half of a college basketball game. You can live bet in the second half or the second quarter or the second period. You can put together a live same game parlay. So many options at FanDuel. You can enjoy the game the entire time. Maybe your bet before the game lost. You know that you are not going to win that bet. You can kind of hedge it with a live bet instead. Very easy to use app. Get paid instantly when you win. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minnesota football party rolls on. It's our Thursday regular. Ron Johnson joining us. He's at 3Ron Johnson on X. Host of the Ron Johnson Show on Tuesdays here on Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'll toss you the same question, Ron. We just went around the circle. We've fallen in love with the idea of the Vikings having all this money to spend, signing a lot of free agents, rolling with J.J. McCarthy. And we were grading, like, what would a disappointment level be if then they gave a huge deal, long-term deal to Sam Darnold? Where would you sit if the Vikings did indeed give Darnold that 3 or 4 year deal?
I would sit right where I'm at the stadium, getting ready to do the pregame show, excited for whatever's going to happen next. Here's the thing. Like, I trust Kevin O'Connell. When I just saw all the stuff they posted about Josh Dobbs, Kirk Cousins, and I forgot and Sam Darnold, and they talked about their records, those 3 quarterbacks' records with Kevin O'Connell, without Kevin O'Connell. And I mean, Josh Dobbs, come on now, like, that one is just dumb. I mean, he was like 1-10 without Kevin O'Connell and 2-2 or something like that with Kevin O'Connell. Or 2-0, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what that one was.
Probably 2-2, probably. Yeah.
But Sam Darnold, that one is glaring to see 14-3 versus whatever he was, Jets terribleness. And then, same with Kirk Cousins. Did really good with Kevin O'Connell, kind of middle of the road with other coaches in situations. So I think Kevin O'Connell has that Midas touch right now. And I just heard, a couple other guys like Shady, I forgot his last name, McCoy. And he talked about when Chip Kelly came to the Eagles, and because they're talking about Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and Chip Kelly was supposed to be this guru, and he came to the Eagles, and did it work out? And same with Ben Johnson when he goes to the Bears. Is this going to be a Kevin O'Connell situation, or just going to be a whatever? I think Kevin O'Connell has the Midas touch right now with quarterback, so I would not be worried about that decision. I would be more worried about the long term, because if they do that, there's something we don't know about J.J. McCarthy, and I don't know what that is. But when I was thinking about if they were to roll with J.J. McCarthy, the one element that he adds to his game that Sam Darnold does not have is when he's flushed out of the pocket, he's fat. He was fast enough. I don't know how he's going to be after the knee, but he was fast enough to run and get you 15, 20 yards. And Sam Darnold was pretty nifty on his feet. He wasn't slow, but I think J.J. McCarthy is a better built runner. But no, I wouldn't be mad at all. I would say, you know what? Okay, they have a plan for this. They're going to go with Sam Darnold, and then maybe they're going to draft a running back to maybe run the ball a little bit more. Who knows?
Ron, so with Kirk Cousins, there's this whole thing going on in Atlanta right now that he had an injury that he didn't disclose and training staff didn't know about, and there's this another miscommunication thing. But I wanted to ask you from your experiences, how do you feel about the idea of players having an injury but not disclosing it? Team could get in trouble. and like how a lot of this is like based on self-report and kind of honor system. Is that something that does get like abused a lot?
Yeah, I mean, why would you tell somebody who's about to give you millions and millions of dollars that you may not be 100%? Like, I don't care. Like the way people get away with these white collar crimes now, and being able to sell $5 million gold cards and stuff for a green card. Like I really don't care. Hey, get your money. I'm never gonna pocket watch. One of my favorite shows is 50 Cent. He does a bunch of stuff on Stars called Power. Now he has the Power book with all these spinoff, and the one Raising Canaan is 50 Cent himself as a kid, and it goes through. Hey, I love it. Get your money. I don't care how you get it. Get rich or die trying. And so, no, like the players, because there's stuff that teams don't disclose to players. Like they know they're about to cut you, and they let you go buy a house. They don't tell you, like, hey, I heard you was house shopping. Maybe hold off on that.
Yeah, chill.
Don't build that brand new house in Egan because we kind of aren't going to keep you next year. So, like, I am not against that with players. I will say, here's one thing. There's a difference in, like, completely just flat out lying. Knee is ripped apart. I need surgery. I'm not telling you I'm going to come in, sign. I'm going to fake my physical and get through it, fake it till I make it, sign, then I'll go get surgery. That's one side. The other side is, I'm hurt, but how hurt am I? I think that's where it kind of varies. But, hey, the doctor called Kirk Cousins when he wasn't supposed to, so maybe it's just karma.
Ron, Vikes got 63 mil to play with. We just went through how we'd spend all that money. I got 3 quick, just rapid fire questions for you.
Vikings Game Day Live. I would definitely dump like $2 more million in a Vikings Game Day Live. That was
yeah. No,
and
that's
some signing bonuses. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that's a smart investment. Probably add half a win, 2 wins maybe.
Oh,
exactly.
Minimum. Yeah,
Man.
minimum.
Film breakdown. We got to have 3D images of players and all that. Yeah.
Pyrotechnics. I want like a
pyrotechnics.
Fire dragon.
Now that they got rid of the fire in the state, we got to bring it into. Yeah, that makes sense.
I want Ron coming down from the rafters pregame. Yeah. All right. We'll make it happen. 3 quick rapid fire questions. Who's your splash free agent guy you're kind of banging the table for to go get? Who's the one guy you think they absolutely have to re-sign and bring back? And do you have one draft prospect you're just starting to fall in love with yet for the Vikes?
I think they have to sign Cam Bynum or Byron Murphy. I think one of those two have to get signed. Free agent, I haven't really dug deep into the free agent market. I know, Sam, we talked about a corner. I forgot who I said. But you know what? Honestly, one receiver, I'll go with this receiver. I don't know if he's signed, but Robinson from the Rams. Like I know he was
DeMarcus Robinson.
He was a free agent. If you think about getting rid of because there's the thing, the Brandon Powell thing, I think you can find a kick returner, punt returner in the draft or free agency. And how often are you even returning punts compared to like you need maybe a first down, big body, run comebacks, run digs, frame wise, see over the center. I can see you running across the middle of the field, Mike Evans type. I'm gonna go with Robinson. He knows Kevin O'Connell's offense, so that's the guy I would want to go get. And then in the draft right now, I've talked myself into this because Mason Graham, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna be there, but his teammate Kenneth and I'm blanking
Kenneth
Grant. Kenneth Grant, like 340 pounds. I'm really starting to like that idea of putting a Linval Joseph, Michael Pierce type guy with Harrison Phillips, because now you have and I know Luke Bryan watches a ton of film, so he understands this. You have a cock nose, like you have a guy that can just Tony Siragusa that thing and take on center guard either side of the ball. And if you look at how the Eagles destroyed people, it was because they didn't run into any team that really gave them opposition up front. I think when you have a bully in the middle like that, you can play around with your for instance, if he's a cock nose and he's facing the guard, but his back, his side is kind of to the center.
Is it like a 45-degree angle to the line?
Yeah, and a lot of teams.
Joe Green.
49ers.
Yeah, Joe Green invented that.
Yeah, 49ers used to do it because Spice Adams talked about that. I don't know if you remember, Sam, we told him the story on our show how his coach used to be like, "You gotta be a cock. You wake up and they were all like, "Whoa, coach!" Like, "Hey, yo!" Like,
I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
TOS, that's not what we mean. We didn't mean it like that.
He's like, "Who wants to be the cock today?" And they're like, "Whoa, coach! Hey, yo!" But their defensive line coach was like Delabadere, I'm gonna get that wrong, but Debo from Minnesota going to the Cardinals now. He has that intensity, and basically he was saying, who wants to come out and be the cock nose I need today? Who needs to be the guy who's going to destroy the opposition? And so that's what I feel like the Vikings can get out of Kenneth Grant. Again, playing in the Big Ten, playing against Ohio State, playing against all these first round, second round draft pick type centers and guards. He held his own. And I could see that being an option. And he's a guy that probably, he may be in the first, but he's probably going to be there in the second round. If you feel like this is our guy, trade that first round pick, get a second and a third or a second and a fourth. Maybe move up with your second and your fifth, even, who knows? But I like Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, big Kenneth Grant guy for sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
So my question is like much more general. It's just about like free agency, which is that I'm always kind of curious about players who have like a good 3-4 years heading. It's not just a 1-year wonder contract thing. Sign with the team for a ton of money and then just don't pan out.
Yep.
What are the factors that you think contribute to situations where you have like massive free agency bust for players that are seen as generally pretty reliable or scheme versatile, whatever, and have a long history of production?
Yeah, I never got $80 million. I got like 2.5, and I acted an ass. So I can't imagine. Like, I went out and got an Escalade. I had TVs in the front, in the back. I had a PlayStation in the console. And then I was going to Club Love in DC with me and Ed Reed and them. And that's how dumb we were. We would sit out in front of the club and play PlayStation in the car for like an hour before we went in. Like, what a waste of time.
Amazing.
Like we could have just stayed home, played, and then went to the club. But no, we had to show people we had a PlayStation in the car.
Right.
Cool to have a PlayStation in the car.
Got the windows down, doors open.
So we show up. I'd be like, yo, Reed, I'm parked over by a valet. He come over. Me, him, and Bart be sitting in the car playing. Javen Hunter come over there. Like, just dumb stuff. So if you think about Vegas, Miami, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, when you get 80 million and you're single, you do some dumb stuff. You're going to travel a lot. That's the fun side of the money, and that could be a contribution. Honestly, man, I think it's just time. Like sometimes guys have a big burst of on the scene. Hey, I'm here, and then like teams either figure them out or it just doesn't work out. I don't think there's a ton of those because like Kirk Cousins has gotten money after money after money, and he did fine. Yeah. Tom Brady got money. Patrick Mahomes got money. Mike Evans, like AJ Brown, like it. So those guys have gotten the money and made it work. I just think there comes a time in life that like you get to a certain position and you get beat up under a rookie contract, and then you sign that big deal, and your body's just been through it. I just heard Kevin Durant say this. He was on a podcast, and they asked him like, "What is your plans? Do you want to retire as a Son?" He's like, "Man, I just want to be able to retire on my own terms." He's like, "I don't want the league to push me out. I want to leave on my own." And so many players in football don't have that. They're not afforded that. Like they just lock the door and never let you back in. I hate to use this guy as an example, but I don't know if you guys follow Tajay Sharp on social media. He was a Viking, was a Tennessee Titan. This dude's posting like every day, working out in his backyard, going to different fields and working out, posting it, talking about I'm ready. The comments in the comment section are, hyping him up. Yo, man, whenever they ready, man, you gonna be ready. And it's like, that's what happens, man. The league passes you by. Spice Adams got famous off of a video like that when he was a free agent. Like it's the toughest thing in the world when you leave a team and you don't know when you can come back and you never come back. I was blessed that I didn't grow up in the social media era, so I didn't have to worry about telling people I'm working out every day. I just did it, and then I never got picked back up. It is what it is. Well, I kind of retired because my back was hurting, but it is what it is. Before my back was hurting, I ended up having to go to the Arena League in Canada because no NFL team wanted me. And so I think that's the tough thing about, why guys end up in those situations is they don't know when the end is coming. And so they get that big money and they're like, oh, it's going to keep going the way it's been going. No, what got you to that big money? And, Robert Griffin talked about that his 13th year. He was saying how hard he had worked because he wasn't a draft pick guy and so on and so forth. Bart Scott wasn't a draft pick guy for us. And he burst onto the scene, in his third, fourth years after his first contract. So it's I don't think there's a magic answer to it. I just think it just sucks when I see it, but it happens. And so that's why I think so many teams are nervous about giving guys big money.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Ron, as usual. Up against the clock a bit, so we'll let you go. But check out the Ron Johnson Show at 3 Ron Johnson on X. Check out the Ron Johnson Show, Lockdown Sports Minnesota, every Tuesday, and he's with us every Thursday. Thanks a lot, Ron.
I appreciate it.
In closing, we got to get to Luke Inman's prospect of the day. I know he was sitting on a unique
He's
one.
excited about this one.
He was excited. He teased it in the cold open.
Yeah.
If you stayed through all 54 minutes, we're paying it off right now. Luke Inman.
Yeah, well, the payoff is we're switching it up. We're switching it up from the trenches. I'm getting a little burnt out on all these DTs. We're going to a new position. We're going to running back, and I think running back makes sense for the Vikes because, I mean, not only it's a deep class at running back. Kind of pick your flavor. What do you need? What are you looking for? You need it. They got it. But B, even if they do bring back Aaron Jones, which I think they do, I think you still want to bring in a new, fresh pair of legs that can kind of complement him. So Devin Neal from Kansas. I don't know how high he ends up going. He's not your 25 touch a game bell cow kind of dude. So I'm assuming, knowing just how deep. And we're going to find out here on Saturday, by the way, at noon, the running backs run in the combine at Indy, what kind of testing numbers he has. But just my feel right now, he's a day 3 kind of guy. All-time leading rusher in program history. Yeah, I get it. It's a basketball school. I get it. They've had a good run in football as of late. 3-time first team, all 12 Big 12 player as well. I'll say this, again, probably not your home run hitter. He's probably not a blazer at the combine. I don't expect any like 4.3 being clocked or anything like that for Devin Neal. But on tape, what I saw and what I really like, some outstanding, solid footwork, balance, vision, good IQ when it comes to like being decisive, when to press the creases and hit the hole and kind of get through that first level, which, you know, Luke and I kind of talked about. That's the name of the game in the NFL first and foremost, getting through that first level. He's got some good pass catching ability, albeit his numbers weren't stellar. Don't let that fool you. He can catch the ball and run in the NFL. It's more so, I think, with him, a matter of staying on the field on third down. Can he pass block, which I think you can say a lot about for most of these guys in this running back class, like you always do, but good at finding ways to just get productive, positive yards. He doesn't get bottled up a lot. He's not like your boomer bust Dalvin Cook kind of style, right? I love the physicality, the toughness in his game. Just a tough guy to bring down, game in and game out. Again, not your bell cow, number 1 dude, 25 touch guy, but a guy who I just have a lot of confidence in. A team can bring in as a number 2 guy, get him 8 to 10 touches, that kind of guy. 4th, 5th, 6th round, who knows? But, you know, a guy who any other year might be talked about as being like a top 100 pick. So he gets pushed down like a lot of these guys because it's a deep class. Devin Neal, if they do take a stab at a running back on day 3, Devin Neal is going to be on my radar.
Inman, I'm going to give you an assignment, another day 3 running back that I have fallen in love with a little bit. I don't know as much about Neal. I want you to look into Jordan James. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, look into Jordan James, Oregon. And I want to know if it's smoke and mirrors, Oregon Ducks offense, you know, old Pac-12 kind of vibes, now Big Ten, or if he's legit, because I love watching him. His highlights are unbelievable. He was the number 1 PFF running back 2 years ago when he was a change of pace guy, and then number 7 this past year as the full-time guy. Looking at Jordan James.
Jordan James, you got it. Yeah. Well, hey, big shoes to fill, you know, basically following up Bucky Irving.
Sam just wants more JJs on the team.
You do, don't you? That's your thing.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. That's a good thing to chase.
That actually makes a lot of sense in that war room.
Yeah. Can never have too many JJs. I want to say about the Oregon offense, when it comes to running backs, I feel like that translates a little better to the NFL than when you're talking about like quarterbacks, where it's like the Oregon offense, at least as I was familiar with it when I was watching like Bo Nix, was very like short game. It was very RPO, and it kind of it's what the Broncos did too. And we found that there's kind of a ceiling to that sort of idea that you can have games where that offense just totally gets suffocated. But when it comes to the run game, like I don't know, it's zone. Like it's what teams do. Like it's fine.
I didn't mean to blow.
It's more the
Devin
defenses
Neal.
that you.
He
go
looks
up against.
good. Devin Neal looks good.
No, I mean, Sam,
I
you're
like
right.
Devin
Like
Neal.
there is a
He's
lot.
big.
There's a lot of running backs, man.
There's
a lot of running backs.
Yeah, I like Devin Neal a lot. He's big, like you mentioned. He's tough. He has a ton of mileage on him.
He does.
So
he does.
that is
again 3-time All Big 12 Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That tells you, like, whoa, okay, this guy's got a resume.
Yeah.
But how does
Yeah.
that translate to the NFL for sure? But
But
you know,
he's
like we see
interesting.
a lot of running backs, day 3 especially, maybe you just wear down the tread on the tires for 4 years and, wash, rinse, repeat. You do it again in the draft for a day 3 pick. So we'll see.
Let's end with this.
Start the clock. It's time to execute the 4-minute drill.
4 news items. I want a minute each of banter, PTI style. There's going to be a clock. Jonathan Allen available. I know Luke Braun had him in his plan. You're trading for Jonathan Allen. Do we like Jonathan Allen enough to trade for Jonathan Allen other than Luke Braun?
Yeah.
I'm a big Jonathan Allen guy. I know he's getting up there, maybe a little long in the tooth. I don't have his age in front of me. It just feels like he's been in the league a while. Underrated, I feel like, just being on a crappy, not great Washington team. But he's been a beast for a while. Again, maybe
He's 30.
Is he 30? So maybe
30
I'm
and coming
wrong.
off an injury. Yeah, that's kind of why. And they just drafted Jerjon Newton, who's taking over.
Yes,
Doogie says he wants to be a Viking.
Oh man,
Darren
I'm
Wilson
all about it.
also.
What do we think? I mean, what's your ceiling draft capital wise? Where you're like, okay, this is my cap. Anything further, I'm like, that's too rich now.
It's probably not going to have to be that bad. At least according to David Harrison, who does Locked On Commanders, thinks that this is more. I mean, they're just trying to shed cap. They're trying to get rid of the redundancy, and
Make
this
it
is
happen.
probably a day 3 pick, kind of like Calais Campbell kind of move.
Make it happen.
Also came
I'm
back
all about
from
it.
his pec and cleaned up in the divisional win against Detroit. Was really good in that game.
That was really good.
Yeah, he was great. Just imagine though being able to go get a guy like that for a day 3 pick. Again, they only got 2 fifths right now, but
You just got to pay the
of a
money,
sudden-
which
you just
makes
got.
sense.
It's more about the money, exactly. But
Yeah,
you
and
go
you probably
into the
have
draft,
to like put a year and like renegotiate the deal and probably give him a raise too.
Which is
100%. Yeah, which again, like we talked, they got the money to do that. They got the flexibility, not just this year, but 2026, like you pointed out. But just being able to go into the draft with just like one less pressing need. As much as I like Kenneth and Grant from Michigan, like not feeling like I have to go get that defensive guy or in the trenches. That would feel great. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Like Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Allen, Jonathan Bullard. There's your front 3 in an odd front. Woo!
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Kirk Cousins, kerfuffle with the Falcons. Everybody's laughing at them right now because they're so discontent. That breakup needs to happen yesterday. I do want to point out, before people dunk or blame Kirk for this, for like not disclosing, I don't know if people are doing that, but this happened in 2022, and then Netflix outed him for having a super hurt rib, and he was never on the injury report. And the Vikings obviously knew about it because he was getting treatment. So, like, teams, I don't believe the Falcons for a second who say that they were blind to this.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think the Falcons are necessarily correct when they say that they were unaware of this injury. It was weird that they called it like a clerical error the moment it appeared that 1 week on the injury report, when it turned out to be the actual injury that Cousins ended up discussing later. Like, that's a very specific clerical error. But I mean, like, knowing about it and not putting it on the injury report is a violation of league rules. So they have to say they don't know about it because the injury report thing already happened. And so they're just trying to minimize the damage of it. And Kirk keeps blabbing. Kirk keeps telling people about all the stuff that he does that violates league rules that teams are involved in.
He talked to the trainer right before he got there.
Talked to the trainer. For that. Has the hurt rib that's on the injury report. Has the hurt shoulder that's on the injury report. I think the Falcons know, and they're just like, dear God, shut up. Just shut up. We like you, but shut up. Like that's got to be. So I don't think the Falcons were blindsided or surprised. Like, hey, wow, this is crazy that he. But like Kirk is looking for reasons to look good. You're like, hey, actually, I'm a good quarterback, but my shoulder, it's you gotta like you throw, it's bad.
Yeah, this is the lose a guy in 10 days routine. Like that.
Yeah, I've seen doomed marriages before. Okay, I grew up with one. I've seen this. It's time.
Get the papers. Get the papers signed. The Gronk return is the biggest nothing burger that I've ever seen an NFL headline be. I couldn't be more disinterested in Gronk after 3 years of drinking beer. Like I'm like, good luck. So
sure.
It
has nothing to do with the Vikings. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Vikings number 2 in the NFLPA survey. Miami has somehow gotten to number 1 with an owner like Brian Flores is taking this personally. He's like, no, not Miami. They've beaten us again.
Well, I mean, with the Vikings only fell short in like what nutrition. right?
Yeah,
Like,
nutrition. They dropped to like 11. How did that happen?
Yeah,
All of a
Yeah.
sudden
so,
they're,
okay,
top
so-
3?
Too many people didn't think it was a personalized plan. Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Like the one thing about this is that like from the broad strokes, these things are like generally consistent and true. But like some of the specifics, like some teams fall from like 5th to 18th in some category, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they haven't changed anything. And so like sometimes it feels like a small sample size of players are surveyed on some of these teams, and some of those players like leave. And so now you pick a new player, and maybe that player is like a picky eater, right? I think in the aggregate, a lot of these things are reflective and tell us a fair amount. Like, I think if you rank 32nd, that's a warning sign. Like, that means something. But I think, like, in the specifics, you might end up with, like, some of these data errors, sample size errors, response errors, and stuff like that impact things. So, like, the nutrition falling that dramatically, kicking the Vikings, or actually keeping the Vikings, I guess, at second. But they were at first, like, 3 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That happens.
And still not like bottom half, even still like sitting at 10 or 11. Not terrible by any means.
Yeah.
It was just a big
But,
drop.
like,
And,
that-
and
that
top
is,
3
like-
in almost everything else.
Yeah,
by
and
the
the Vikings are crazy proud of that. So I'm sure that they'll do like some internal survey of the players, like, hey, is there something we could do about nutrition? Like,
some guy just got sick of chicken and rice and salmon and rice and like the protein shake flavors.
I think it was the banana split bar in the cafeteria. I think that the cotton candy flights that they were giving out.
Right.
Whatever
yeah,
Daniel Jones came here to enjoy and do nothing for half a season.
Daniel Jones put on 24 pounds.
He was
Yeah,
already
like-
big.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
it was weird that
And good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's weird that in the nutrition center there was a s'mores bar, but I had to.
Right. Legally, I'm under con. I have.
Yeah.
to,
One of the
yeah.
things
That's how
One of the
JJ
things that-
McCarthy got over 200 pounds was that s'mores bar. So let's give it credit. where
Yeah.
it's due.
One of the things that jumped out to me was that the Vikings also ranked second in how satisfied players are with ownership. And the thing that is cited in all of those is how committed ownership is to being competitive. And if you read my YouTube comments, the fans do not want the owners to be committed to being competitive. So fans
they
disagree.
Like tank. They want the
Yeah,
fans want the
they're
tank.
really mad about that. That the players like that the Wilfs want to win football games. A lot of Vikings fans really upset about it.
This is a playoff team. I don't understand. I understand if you're
14
tanking,
wins.
if you're not a playoff team. What?
I'm inclined to guess that it's KQRS's fault.
Back to K.
You know, they don't-
always comes back.
They don't do like a ton of.
Circle
They don't do like a ton of sports commentary. It's like some offhand.
Oh,
comments
that's what I
from the
listen. I
morning
listened to
show.
them complain about Tavares
excuse me.
Jackson every day before high school.
Thursday,
on the bus.
Thursday
Yeah,
morning
yeah.
at 8:25 in season, you can hear Sam Ekstrom on KQRS with the morning show as the air.
Set him
goes
straight,
out.
Sam. Set him straight.
Outstanding.
Doing that for like 4 years now.
That's perfect.
The
How would I know?
My complaint remains. No,
the
nothing
reception
changes.
doesn't get LA apparently. So we'll be back Monday. The calendar turns to March, getting close to free agency. This is going to be an awesome next couple weeks. I can't wait. Minnesota Football Party on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll talk to you next week.